All right, what's up, guys? This isn't exactly how I had planned to start this little journey here. But I was at work and I was listening to Asmongold's stream, and I got to catch a little bit of him watching this video. And I don't know, I really felt like I kind of wanted to check out more of it and maybe kind of just talk through it. So let's check out the video and we'll just kind of get into it. Yeah.
Hey Buns, so yeah, first of all, obviously, I did change my hair. I got a cut and a color, but I am going to get more changes to my hair this upcoming week, so please look forward to it. However, that's not what I want to talk about here today. Today, I want to talk about something I've been meaning to discuss for a little while now, since we are here in the craziest month I have ever had
I think I caught
on
like
YouTube, on
halfway
my
through it or
time
something.
playing Final Fantasy XIV. Things are popping off. I said it.
Asmon's rubbing off.
Yep. So things are popping off, and there's a ton of new players coming in, and I want to set aside for the moment the new allegations against Activision Blizzard.
A lot of players coming in, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic.
I will talk about that more at the end of this video, but I want to talk about why I think this is, what's behind the exodus this time, and kind of just talk about my perspective as a Final Fantasy XIV creator on all of it. So obviously, when people are dissatisfied with something, they're going to look for an alternative, and that's the case right now with World of Warcraft. We have a ton of people coming to Final Fantasy XIV that were playing World of Warcraft. Now they may even be boycotting Activision Blizzard, and so a lot of eyes are on 14 for that reason. But for the past couple of weeks, obviously, Final Fantasy 14 had already been breaking its concurrent player count records on Steam. Here's an article from Forbes where it documents all of that. Like, Final Fantasy 14 had been breaking records day after day.
Yeah, it was already
day,
doing well.
This happened this month, and this was all happening around the time that Asmongold decided to come and start playing Final Fantasy 14, and he had over 200,000 people watching his stream at one point. He has, I think one of his VODs has like 2.8
I was watching that stream, and it was really cool. It was still one of those things where it was kind of sad, to be honest, parts of it, to see what people in the community did, unfortunately, just trying to kind of ruin his experience. And that's been talked about and enough, so I don't really need to elaborate on that. But obviously, that's never something we want to see. But that was a pretty incredible stream. I don't know how his numbers have been previously, but that's pretty crazy. I think he had, I don't know, it's like 2 million unique viewers or something. I can't remember now what the number was, but it was a really good day for sure.
He was on it. So yeah, that's a lot of eyes on Final Fantasy 14. And I think these eyes are watching and seeing that he was having fun. But he's not the only content creator from the WoW community that has had positive things to say about this game, or is clearly enjoying the game. Also, Jesse Cox played recently, put out a great video comparing the two games, and so that has been,
and for the most part, he makes a lot of really good points in that video. Maybe we should talk about that another time. There's one part that I think it wasn't really his focus to get into like in-game content. I'll just say this real quick, I guess. And that's fine. Like I honestly do understand that, and he makes a lot of really good points in his video. And maybe some other time we can elaborate on that if this is something you guys want to see. But I will say real quick that I think that as far as harder content, as far as like in-game, what you might equate to like mythic and heroic content in WoW, Final Fantasy has that 100%. And I think it's a little bit of a disservice to the developers and just everybody involved in those, because they have these incredibly crafted, just amazing boss encounters, and you can tell that they've really put the effort and the time and just syncing up the music, and it honestly, some of them are absolutely incredible. So to kind of lead people to think that those things don't exist in the game, or to a high caliber existent in a game, it's not really fair. And I've said too much on that, so let's get back.
Been, getting into the ether of the WoW community, and also Bellular has been very positive
Yeah.
about Final Fantasy 14 as well lately. So
Although
I
you
think
need
that
to
Final Fantasy 14,
level old
it's more
Bellular.
than just this alternative MMO that is, you know, people are talking about now. Final Fantasy 14 stands on its own 2 feet. Because Final Fantasy 14 is a
Yeah.
damn good game. That's what I've been
100%.
trying to tell y'all the whole time I've had this YouTube channel. What do you think I've been? That's what I've been doing. That's why I made this channel. Like a lot of the videos I've made on this channel.
So I'm 100% new to this, and so I do apologize if I'm pausing too much. But she's 100% right, and I will say too, like Zepla, like you seem like one of the sweetest people in the world, and I would say thank you for you've kind of taken on a little bit of like an ambassador of our community, and you seem to be doing a really good job. Congrats on clearing T, as well as, and maybe I should have said this from the beginning. Like, I'm very new to this kind of stuff, so if for some reason there's any kind of problem at all, please just reach out to me, and if I need to take this down, I will do that with no hesitation whatsoever. I just want to be clear and transparent on that. Again, I'm really new to this. That being said, she is like 10 million% right. Like, Final Fantasy is already exceptional. Okay, and I think there's a lot of dynamics to that, and I feel like she maybe elaborates later, or maybe this is kind of the part that I heard. I wasn't sure because I just had headphones in and I couldn't actually see what part of the video he was at that I was hearing. But for me, for example, reality is that if Battle for Azeroth hadn't been, for me personally, and I know a lot of people feel this way, but I'm just going to say for me personally, if it hadn't been not the greatest experience, especially moving from Legion to BFA, it did not feel good. But if that hadn't been the case, right, I don't know that I would have honestly given Final Fantasy not only a fair shake, but a try at all. I bought 1.0 Collector's Edition back in the day, was super excited for it, thinking it would be more along the lines of WoW, and I cannot honestly remember if I played even 10 minutes of it. And it was it was not good at all. But moving forward and everything that they've done over these years developing the game, maybe it's a good thing that it was a little kind of developed and kind of come into its own and had a few expansions under its belt by the time that I come back, right? Because now you're getting a much more learned experience, right? They've had time to develop things and to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are and try to bring those up, right? And so when she's talking about Final Fantasy being good on its own, like she's hitting it like on the head. I think that a lot of us, especially WoW players, and I played since vanilla. I don't want to say we're blind to other games, but we get so absorbed in WoW that at least games that fall in the MMO genre, we're kind of like, I'm not, I know personally I had friends that played Final Fantasy, and they would tell me about different things. I'm like, oh, that raid doesn't sound as good as WoW. It's like not having seen anything, right? Just going off what they're telling me, like, oh no, it couldn't possibly be as good as WoW. And I think that the situation we're in now is that people are kind of getting a breath of fresh air, and so they are not just open to the idea of other games, but with WoW kind of not like, well, I guess with us not looking at things with our little WoW lenses, right? I think that we're starting to understand that there are other really good games out there, right? Whether that be an MMO genre or not. And it's really important because Final Fantasy's had a lot of really good content for a long time, but none of us really knew it. I mean, it's not like this content just came out of nowhere just now, right? Like, I mean, this game has been developed over years as well. It's not quite as old as WoW, but it's not really the point. Like, I mean, they've been doing this consistently for a long time, and even looking at some of the old cutscenes, and I know I'm going way long here, and I'm sorry, but even looking at some of the old cutscenes, like you can see the quality that they were trying to achieve, that they were trying to push in, and already, even with like the very first cinematic, it's really good. Like it's really, really good. I'm gonna stop rambling though. So
have been about, encouraging people to come and try the game, telling people how can you get your friend to keep playing the game, how can you have more fun playing the game, how do you understand the game. Like, this is what I'm here doing all the time. I'm out here shouting from the rooftops about how much I love this game. I actually made a video a little while back where I talked about how the Final Fantasy 14 community's bubble is bursting, and I want to talk a little bit more about the things that I discussed in that video. At the time, I think it was just when Asmongold had decided to start playing 14, and it really shook up the 14 community, I'll tell you that, because, I mean, we were a pretty small bubble before. Well, change has come. Lots and lots of new people with lots of different ideas have all come in, and this is shaking things up quite a bit, and not everybody likes that too much. There's some people that get very set in their ways, very comfortable with the way things are, and we're very threatened by the new wave of players coming into the game, and now I'm sure they feel even more threatened. But yeah, I got quite a bit of hate for that. Here's one of the less offensive messages that I can show you here. This one I got immediately after I posted the video. Someone said, "Well, I'm leaving this server." They're talking about my Discord server. "Tell her to quit inviting the toxic community of WoW to FXEV, for goodness sakes."
So there's a lot of this I didn't know or haven't seen.
It's so weird to me when people say this kind of stuff, because it's like, do you realize how antagonistic you sound? Like, you are telling me that that community is toxic, and yet you're angry with me just because because I've said, "Welcome, come on in." Like,
you're being the toxic community.
I'm never gonna apologize for that. I'm never gonna stop doing that. And for all the new people coming in now, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. I'm so happy you're here. I don't care if you don't fit into a particular mold of what people think that you should be, because the case is, when you've got lots and lots and lots of new people, everybody is going to have different opinions on things. People are going to have different perspectives on things, and I just don't know how you can get by in this world. I know I'm getting a little off track, but how you can get by being so intolerant of differing viewpoints.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a huge critical success. So we had already been seeing a lot of players come in as the word started to spread about how people were saying, actually, this has one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever written in this MMO.
And it is fantastic.
I've told people that in real life. I've spoken to people who don't play any MMOs ever, but liked Final Fantasy games, and I'm like, look, you gotta try. Yes, I'm doing this to people in real life as well. I'm like, yes, you've got to try Final Fantasy.
My friends are probably tired of
me sending videos. At least go through the story. I remember that the writer for Shadowbringers was given a standing ovation at PAX West in Seattle. She was actually brought to tears because of that gesture, but it was well deserved. I mean, she got the standing ovation because of all these people that played through Shadowbringers. But they probably still had tears in their eyes from just playing the damn game.
It's hard to say how good it is.
Happening at a time when, in the backdrop, we have people in the World of Warcraft community more upset than ever before about the treatment of certain characters in their story. Like Sylvanas has received a ton of criticism. It's been like a natural transition for a lot of people who are really caring about the story. Because of the massive numbers of people that have been joining the game in the past month, Naoki Yoshida had to write a giant essay explaining to the well, he didn't have to write a giant essay, okay.
True.
He found time to write this huge essay regarding the growing player population.
That's a really big thing too.
World congestion. This was crazy, like that he spent so much time on this, explaining to the player base exactly what they're going to do to let the servers allocate more
Yeah.
people logging in.
He and the whole
There's just
team
so many
really
people
seem to
logging in, the
care.
servers can't even handle it. He explained, well, they need semiconductors to upgrade the servers, and here's how the way the server infrastructure works, and here's how the login caps works. And a lot of people were really touched by this. They were touched by his care and his transparency and making sure that players understand every little thing. In the end of his letter, he said, as producer, the responsibility for being unable to predict the current influx of new players falls to me. The days before an expansion's launch are supposed to be ones of excitement, but instead they brought many players grief, and for that, I personally am extremely sorry. Like,
I don't think you could say enough about this guy and the way that he conducts himself. Like he just really seems to be a very humble individual. Um, he seems to be like an all-around great guy, honestly. You'll hear about like him playing the games. He actually plays right, and he plays at a very high level from what I understand. But I've seen videos of just like random people playing and getting into like groups of them and stuff like that. So it's really cool. If you haven't seen some of his responses, especially lately, to either interviews or just some of their kind of developer updates and stuff like that, certainly if you are playing the game, I would. But even if you're not, like if you're curious, I would look at that because it's a very different. I don't know if climate's the right word, but it's very different from communication if you're used to like Blizzard and WoW. It is. Right now, the comparison is going to be there because this is really the kind of the conversation that's happening, right? I think going back to real quick, just something you said before. There's no reason at all not to be welcoming to people wanting to check the game out, wanting to join the community, wanting to just have fun, right? Like this is, guys, it's video games, right? At the end of the day, it's just games. The idea is that we could all have fun. You know what I mean? I think it's so crazy that I think she's mentioned this. There's been quite a lot of talk of this, but it's crazy that there's like these weird battle lines drawn. We've got these kind of, I don't know, these crazy mentalities, and it's kind of like both sides, really. You see it on in both. Let's say for this instance, the WoW community and the Final Fantasy community. This weird, I don't know, bias, like weird pride kind of thing. And it's crazy because at the end of the day, we're all gamers. Like, if you enjoy a game, that's perfectly okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And have fun. Honestly, the hope should be that you do have a game that you can enjoy, right? That's what we just all want to have something that we enjoy. And if we can do that with our friends, it's even better. If we can do that with people, maybe that aren't real life friends, but they're friends in the game or in these various communities. That's the goal, right? To have these experiences and to have fun. So, guys, just be welcoming. Just relax. You acting the way that some of these people are, you're literally being everything that you are claiming that you don't like. Like that's what's crazy. Like, do you not realize that you are, again, like with the quotes, like you are being the toxic community if you want to go that route, right? Be welcoming. Like we always talk about how our community is so kind and so caring and so open and thoughtful, right? And people watch some of Asmon's first streams. Like they get tired of us talking about how great our community is, and how great our game is, right? Like people they're saying we evangelize our game, right? But if we're gonna do that, right? If we're gonna go out and say all these things, like be that, right? Like You guys are fantastic. My my personal interactions with the majority of the community have been incredible. Okay, and so it's kind of sad for me to hear that other people are not having that same experience that I've had. I'm a nobody, right? Like I am nobody. I know that some people talk about like, oh, streamer privilege and this, that, and the other. Like, look, I'm a nobody, okay? And I can tell you from firsthand, I have met so many incredible people who have just been super nice, super patient, understanding throughout my experience, right? So I would just challenge everybody, just be that, you know? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just continue being um, this incredible community that we can be. Obviously, nobody's perfect. I think we all understand that. Um, but just continue on, you know?
No one would blame him for not being able to predict the current
Yeah,
influx of
exactly.
players.
There's
Like
no
he
way.
doesn't have a crystal ball. Well, maybe he does have a crystal ball, but Heidelin isn't really a ball, right? Heidelin definitely doesn't have. It doesn't matter. The point is that it was very touching.
Where are we going with that?
The way he showed his concern for the players and takes his responsibility of making sure everybody is really happy very seriously, and it was very endearing. And we have got to remember this man. He's working on 2 games right now. He's not just working on as
16.
director and producer for Final Fantasy 14, but he's also working as a producer for Final Fantasy 15. And so for him to take so much time out of his day to write all this, I really appreciated. And I think this is another thing that, people from the WoW community who may be less satisfied with the sort of communication that they have with developers, they had seen this, and maybe this was another factor encouraging those people to come on over. But I want to make something really clear too, because I know probably up to this point it might sound like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh well, there's clearly winners and losers here. We got my game, which is awesome, and everything going great in it, and so all the players are coming to play my game, and then we have this other game which sucks and everything's going wrong.
Gee, I wonder what game that is.
And that's why everyone's leaving that game and they're coming to my game. Instead, what I want to try to drive home here is that I believe that Final Fantasy 14 has a lot going for it, yes, and it's because of that Final Fantasy 14 doesn't need anything bad to be happening. It doesn't need some kind of cataclysm happening at another gaming studio to succeed.
This is what
I don't celebrate it when bad things are.
This is the part that I had heard, and not to be too long here, but just to echo that, like 100%, it's already a phenomenal game, and I would tell anybody and everybody, like, if you haven't tried it, and obviously by now it's well known that A Realm Reborn, the very first base game, is a little slower. It's maybe not the best of experiences that you could possibly have, but I cannot tell you how phenomenal the payoff is going through Heaven's Ward. Shadowbringers is on a whole nother level.
They're happening at this other company or with this other game. I only wanted to explain to you some of the reasons why people might be looking over to Final Fantasy 14 and possibly seeing that as greener pastures. I really want to quote our director-producer Naoki Yoshida here, because I think that Yoshida and I have the exact same viewpoint on this whole situation. He said recently, this whole conversation about surpassing WoW is the wrong conversation to have, and it's honestly irritating. When the interviewer chimed in and told Yoshida that he was hoping he would have said, "We're the best," Yoshida said, "If I was that type of guy, we'd miss our footing on the way, and 14 wouldn't be loved by so many people."
This is what I was talking about.
I thought this was a really interesting quote from Yoshida, because it's like he's telling us, we know that one of the reasons people love Final Fantasy 14 is because we approach the game, we approach the community, and we approach people from other games with an attitude of compassion, with an attitude of love, rather than with pointing fingers and competitiveness and like, oh, it's us versus them, we're better than them. He knows that part of the soul of what Final Fantasy 14 is and what this community has become has been about kindness, has been about consideration of others. And I think that actually if you play through the story of Final Fantasy 14, time and time again, you're told these stories that are like that, stories where someone who was supposedly supposed to be your competition in the end usually might end up being friends. Hope is really a central theme of what Final Fantasy XIV is about, and that's what the game has been about for me as well. This is another quote that I want to share from Yoshida, because it's like, he said what I feel too on this. As a person that loved WoW for many years, and now, I now love Final Fantasy XIV. He said, regarding this whole conversation about, is Final Fantasy XIV winning because WoW is losing, or any of that nonsense, he said, without World of Warcraft, A Realm Reborn would not exist. WoW was the game we constantly admired. Our goal was to create a version of Final Fantasy from WoW. So to say that we won or lost against WoW, it's out of place to start with, because that was the game we aspired to be. He sees World of Warcraft the way that an artist might see another artist that they're inspired by. I mean, even if you're both selling art in the same museum, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to hate each other, or you need to like look at every little problem in the other person's art, or be glad if you notice a problem in their art.
Well, and this is what, like, and you probably have seen this a lot lately. Like, the thing is like, competition is what you want, right? Like, this has been echoed over and over and over again, but you want both games, or any game, right? To be as good as it possibly can be, because even if you don't play the other game, right, you want these games or developers, or however you want to say it, right, to be in a position to push themselves further. Like, that's what you want, right? You shouldn't want to see something else fail. Not really. Not if you really think about it.
Like, it's not like that at all. I mean, at least I don't think it's like that. It's just like, oh, here's someone that inspired me, and I respect them, and they influenced me in my journey, in my creative journey, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to see them succeed too. I want to see more great work from them, and that's the way that I see World of Warcraft. I mean, I've said before, I also see World of Warcraft as like an old friend that I grew up with, and I still believe that, and I don't necessarily say anymore that I feel like Activision Blizzard is an old friend. I know that a lot of people are seeing Final Fantasy XIV right now as an avenue for them to still play an MMO while they are boycotting Activision Blizzard, and that boycott is completely justified. But I don't necessarily take joy in that. Nobody in my community is happy with the situation that's unfolding at Blizzard. We do not celebrate it when bad things are happening over there, especially things as bad as they are. And I think it's very foolish, it's very irresponsible to treat this like it's sports teams going at each other when there's real human lives like on the line. There are people at Blizzard whose livelihoods are being threatened. There are people who have endured so much harassment, so much abuse, people who have lost their jobs. All this stuff was going on. I don't know why anyone would try to paint that as a win for Final Fantasy XIV. It most certainly is not. So I kind of
well, and no, like the thing is like, nobody's winning here. Nobody's winning, right? Like the customer, right? The company, the employees. I mean, like, there's nobody winning here. Not really, right? Like, I would challenge you to check your measure of winning for sure. But kind of going back to what she's already said, like, Final Fantasy was good on its own, right? And so, in some ways, like, you could even look at this as like kind of diminishing how good Final Fantasy is, and the work that they've done. Because if people are going to start making the argument, well, they only came over to Final Fantasy because of everything that was going on at WoW. I mean, while that is true for some people, 100%, like, I mean, that's just the case. It's factual. It is not the sole reason for Final Fantasy's success. And I think that's a very unfair justification for what's going on. But she's 100% right. Like, nobody is winning, and from a moral standpoint, I don't know for sure how bad it is. I don't know if most of us know how bad it is or how bad it was. But obviously, people's lives were very much affected by this. And she's right. This is not to be looked at as some sort of competition, like we're talking about a sport at all.
I'm going to steer further away from that when I talk about how, obviously I'm happy that people are coming to Final Fantasy 14, but I can't say that I'm happy for those reasons.
Right, exactly.
It's just there's no good take. There's no good way to look at that. So I guess you can tell that I have a little bit of mixed emotions about this. On the one hand, I'm delighted that we have so many new players coming to Final Fantasy 14. On the other hand, I wish that a lot of it was happening under better circumstances. I wish that a lot of people didn't have to leave WoW, didn't have to boycott Activision Blizzard, because I wish none of that stuff ever happened, but unfortunately it is what it is, and we are here, and we've got to face the reality, and I just can only hope that they have a massive restructuring at Activision Blizzard. They show accountability by firing people that have been involved in all this stuff, and the workers start to be treated really well, paid well, cared for,
I really hope some
I
of the
really
things
want to see all that. I want to
true.
see World of Warcraft succeed, because that's
I couldn't
the game
imagine
that
working
was there
on
for
that.
me before Final Fantasy 14. That was my first love, and I will always be cheering it on. What do you think about this whole discussion about, has Final Fantasy 14 won some kind of contest or competition against World of Warcraft? What do you think about so many new players coming to 14? It's actually, it's exciting. Are you one of them? You might be. Are you considering playing Final Fantasy 14? If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
So, of course, there's gonna be an ad there. Yeah, I think that if you're gonna say Final Fantasy has a win, the win is how incredible the story is, right? How incredible the world building and the storytelling and even the boss encounters. Like, the win is the reaction videos of people watching the trailers and thinking how amazing the music is and how incredible the story that they can already see from the trailers, right? And the win is when you see people playing through the story and really just having that emotion pulled out of them, sometimes uncontrollably, right? Like, and obviously in a good way, right? But it's just so gripping and so good, so well done, that it evokes your emotion and pulls you in, and that's the win, right? That's the win. Seeing people have these incredible experiences, and break down sometimes at these story moments. That's the win, right? That's the win. So I've got some ideas for a lot of things that I want to do. Like I said, and obviously you'll be able to see from my channel. I'm all new to this. It's something I've been kind of working towards for a little while. My schedule makes it kind of difficult. I know I already look like a zombie. I'm tired, but it is what it is, Zepla, thank you for just doing what you do, just being kind of that kind voice of reason. There's definitely some others, Mr. Happy, Mione, there's quite a few FF streamers, and people who are just calling for common sense and sensibility, just mutual respect, and just kindness, but again, Zepla, congrats on that T. That's so awesome. I have not, as of yet, ventured into the Ultimate Realm, at least not too far. I've done some prog on Uwu, As far as I understand, that's the easiest of them. And my work schedule makes it difficult to kind of get into a static group with a set schedule. So we'll see how that goes. But much respect. Like I said, if there's any issues at all with this, please just reach out to me. Let me know, and we will do whatever we need to. Okay. Thank you for checking the video out, guys. I really appreciate it if you stuck around and hung out. And let me know what you think. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.